All right. I've got an idea. So Andrew Wilkinson texted me because he's in my STR group. STR stands for short-term rentals, my latest obsession. We'll see if it sticks, but very interested in it. And
I think you need to rebrand that, by the way. Way too like STD. Like, does anybody know what an STR is? No. Why not just say like
only dorks?
My like real estate or Airbnb, or whatever vacation rentals group.
Dude, here's the truth. I made this group when I was going to the bathroom, and I just tweeted it out. And you'll notice the picture is just a boot. That's just because I just like Googled I Googled something.
Yes,
like this is
a shoe.
Yeah, it's just a shoe. I don't remember, but that picture was available.
Which goes back to your point you did a long time ago that people got really upset with you. We were like, don't think about a name or don't buy a good domain or something. You said something like that people got really pissy about, and you were basically saying, Don't let figuring out the branding and the name hold you back from the thing, which is like getting it out there.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I did it literally when I was going to the bathroom. This was like literally a 2-minute thing. And it just is, what's it called? Sam's STR crew. No, I keep wanting to say STD. So 1,200 or 1,500 people. You know what I think I could do? I'm not sure if I'm going to do this, but you know what I think I can do? I think I could turn this into a newsletter business. And I think it could be like a really good business. And I'm going to explain why. Have you ever heard of Ock Davis, the hedge fund? Daniel Ock?
No.
Okay, so look up Daniel Ock. I think he's like probably worth $8 or $10 billion. So Ock Davis is like a famous hedge fund. This guy is, I think that I'm almost positive that when Elon Musk got shorted, this guy was one of the guys, and he sent him like a pair of shorts, if I remember correctly. And so it's this multi-billion dollar, maybe $40 billion hedge fund. Anyway, it got started because the Davis was this guy named Ziff Davis who started, his name was Bill Ziff, who started Ziff Davis Publishing Company. Have you heard of Ziff Davis?
No.
Okay, so Ziff Davis was basically, at this point, it's still around. It has a $5 billion market cap. It does over $1 billion in revenue. It's been around since probably the 60s. It got its start because it owned magazines in a ton of different super specific but high-end industries. So, for example, they owned the most popular magazines on popular electronics, sailing, flying. They own this thing called Mac Week. They eventually started CES, it was called one thing, and then it now has become CES.
I thought Masa-san started CES, no?
Masa-san bought it from Ziff Davis.
Okay.
And so it was all niche publications, and it's still a business. And I think I could do something like that for STRs, where you create an empire based on like things that aren't exactly side hustles, but have like serious money going into them. For example, this industry probably isn't big enough, but I've met a bunch of people that have they've bought like 10 cars just for like Toro and all that kind of thing. And I've also, and so that's kind of intriguing to me. Like, I just think that like something can be done here. There's this company called The Penny Hoarder, which just sold for like $100+ million. And they basically wrote blog posts on this, and they drove traffic to it and made money. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. And let me tell you one last thing. Have you heard of this website called Speed Test?
Speed Test? Like the internet speed test?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I go to it all the time.
All right. That's owned by Ziff Davis.
Oh, no way.
So check this out. On SimilarWeb, it gets 100 million visits a month. If you scroll all the way to the bottom and you click a button that says advertise, that's what you always want to click for these types of websites, and it tells you all about their traffic. According to their website, it says they get 10 million visits a day.
Bro, you're giving away the tricks of the trade here on how we get these numbers.
I am. And so it says they get I think it says 40 or 50 million monthly uniques, but 10 million total visits.
Right.
Now go back to that homepage, Ben.
Well, I always have ad block on, so this is my first time seeing it with ads, dude. It's like, so there's a button that says go, like test your speed, and then it's like it's like an army it's like you're surrounded. There's nowhere to go. You are gonna look at these ads. There's a MailChimp ad up top, and on the right, and on the bottom, and on the left, there's a UFC ad.
So look at this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads right there. Yeah. I don't know what like the current CPM is on Google, but let's just say that all of those, because this is like a relatively high end potentially market. Let's say that's $15 per CPM. It could be 10, but I bet you it's between 10 and 15. On 10 million visits a day, that's $50 million a year just on these ads. Plus, go to the top right, Ben, and click where it says developers. They also sell all these solutions. So you can like test the internet speed of, I actually don't know like why anyone would use this. There's a world where like this is a maybe $200 million a year business just from this simple ass webpage.
That's wild. And then there's also, I think, who came out with a competitor? I think Netflix did, or somebody.
Speed.com.
Yeah, somebody came out with that as well. But I think this one's like pretty entrenched.
I looked up, if you like, there's some websites that they're called, I forget what they're called, but Ben, if you Google speedtest.net or whatever the URL is, and then the word revenue, there's all these websites that tell you how much your traffic is worth. And like, they're not really that interesting, but they kind of are. This one, it says $1 billion. It says this URL is worth $1 billion.
By the way, is there like a mobile version of Speed Test? Like, is there an app that just, you open it up, it just tells you how fast your internet is right now? And like
so
with the iOS widget, you can just leave that open all the time?
Great question. So in order to get all this information, I went and read a lot of Ziff Davis's annual reports. And they just acquired a company that they want to integrate into this company that does that for mobile. So They're working on it, but clearly there's opportunity here.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the thing with speed tests is like they get free customers because anytime somebody, like if you call your Comcast or whatever, they're like, hey, can you go run a speed test? Go to speed test, and they like send you the link. And so it's like every troubleshooting IT person like sends you this link. And so they're not like paying for customers. They get it for free that way.
Which is interesting.
But you kind of said two things. So Ziff is interesting, but then you were saying, what could I do with STR? So there's kind of like, let's say, three paths. There's default, do nothing. There's path 2, which is, okay, I keep this Facebook group and I just actually do the short-term rental, which would be like the equivalent of the Alex Hormozy guy or whatever, building out more gyms, right? So it's like, well, you can actually make a lot of money if you just do the short-term rentals and just use that information, put your energy there. Or you could put your energy towards building the community and the content around people who are interested in short-term rentals. And there's clearly appetite. Your thing's at like 1,000 members and there's like super valuable, interesting content being shared there. So clearly there's value in either a paid community or a paid newsletter plus a paid community or something like that. How do you think about which one is like a good thing to do?
Well, I might do the first one, which is do nothing. I didn't create this to build a business. I did it just because people were reaching out to me. I didn't want to talk to everyone, and I needed a way just to like communicate. But if I want to, but also maybe if I never want to, I think the way that you go about this is you do like I would do one of two things. I would create either a weekly or a bi-weekly newsletter that explains the news that impacts this business and regulations, followed by I would do what you do, which is take like the 5 most interesting tweets from the week of STRs, and I would explain my opinion of them. I would do that, and then I would also create a paid tool. So I would create the best sheet. So like whenever you like look at these properties, you create like a sheet that like you put your inputs in, and then it would say like, look, like a lot of people are current. What we've noticed is that currently people are getting 20% cash on cash return. So if above, do that. If below, don't do it. And here's like how your math should look. So I think you could create something like that and sell it for maybe $300 to $500 a year. And then if you wanted to, you do a higher end thing like $10,000 for people who already have 3 or 4 Airbnbs. And you talk to all the experts who have scaled this up successfully to like 10 and 20 units and done it relatively hands off. And I think you could charge $2,000 to $5,000 for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a ton of options. So yeah, I think you've stumbled into a very cool niche that you're genuinely interested in. So I think, it'll play out how it plays out. And
it's cool, right?
It's very cool. Yeah. It's one of the more interesting little things that I've kind of seen one of our friends doing recently.
Yeah, I think it's intriguing.
I have 2 silly ideas for you.